I want to wake her up, even if I had a chance to.
No way.
No, I won't. There was a time my stepmother told me that she is the one. I remember very vividly the statement was, so don't think your dad loves you, because I'm the one who made the decision that you must come here. From the age of 11, I've been walking, and that's all I know. I also expected too much out of my dad. My dad just, he smokes. He just took out a cigarette and said, you hurt my wife.
You hurt my wife.
Yeah. That's when my stepmom said to my dad to say, you know what, I think it's time you choose. It's either me or Dineo. I remember even the accusations of me being a witch. And the interesting part was when my stepmother took us to this Sangoma Batung Tatolelena Norgaloy. I was like, oh, okay. No, maybe Galoy. Maybe it's somewhere in there.
I've been through the most. Been through the most.
Hola Samfam. Sawubona, dumelang, absheni, guten morgen, wararapo. How are you getting to it? I am literally saying hi to the entire Africa. And I'm coming back to South Africa. Yes. Right? To my people, welcome to another episode of I've Been Through the Most podcast with myself, Innocent. And myself, Millicent. And week in and week out, we're joined by incredible people who have been through the most. But they live to tell their story, which is the most incredible part. Now, if you're watching us on TV or you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, welcome. We're so glad you could join us. Let's welcome our guest today. Welcome, Pastor Dineo.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. I can't believe we're matching, Millie. We didn't discuss this. We didn't talk about this. But when she walked in, I was like, how perfect. So let's get to know you better. Today, you are sitting on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. But before that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? Where do you come from?
Oh, okay. Dineo Manzini is a lady who grew up in Pampierstad. Yeah, Pampierstad is in the side of the Northern Cape. So I always say, don't say you come from Northern Cape. Say Utswa Pampierstad.
I was about to say, where is Pampierstad? Right? I'm like, sounds far.
Yeah, it is. But the reason I like to specify Pampierstad is because we come from the side of the place where most people don't make it out. Where your peers, when you go back home, you ask yourself, but what is happening? What happened? Yes, I am from Pampierstad, raised by a single parent. My mom who passed when I was at the age of 10. And then at a time, my younger sister was about 2 years, But we do have grandparents. Then I was taken on by my grandparents until I went to stay with my stepmom and my father, my biological father.
Sorry, so was your mom sick?
My mom was sick. She had pneumonia. Yes, she was sick for some time. Not a long time, although, Yeah, it was just a short space of time, and then she passed.
Okay.
Yes. It worked for my good. I always say I'm looking back now at my life. I think my mom's passing was the most strategic move from God ever.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't be who I am today, Wow. I would be so shielded. I would be so nurtured, so loved, so warm.
Comfortable.
I wouldn't have experienced the double rejection of my dad, I wouldn't have experienced the depression I went through. I wouldn't have experienced it also. It sounds a bit selfish, maybe for my little sister, for me to say my mom's passing was the best that God did to align me. It was actually the best. I want to wake her up, even if I had a chance to.
No way.
No, I won't.
What?
No, I want to wake her up, even if I had a chance to do that, because my mom was a good woman. Yeah. But I think with her being around, I would have never seen what I could be capable of. I could have never been able to see that. So her being removed, my favorite verse is Romans 8:28. All things work together. So it's that's why I'm saying maybe it's a bit selfish for me to say, that was a strategic move because my younger sister really needed her mom. Aww. But
at least you were there.
And here we are now. She's 25. We're going well. Yeah. Beautiful. It was a journey, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you living with your father, how was that?
Moving in with my stepmom and my father. At first, it was, you're moving from Pampristad, you're going to Kimberley. It's like Dolly. Wamona Dolly, ne? Ole wako ho Ringo. Uya hambu Dolly. You come to Joburg.
Yes.
So it was a shift.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that transition for me was like coming from the rural parts of the world, and then now you get to the city, you're thinking everything will be well and so on. And it's always different when you're visiting people and when you're staying with them, because then you get to experience the full version of Dineo, And I always say, sometimes I think, because along the lines, there was a time my stepmother told me that she is the one who actually enforced that and make that decision that I come and stay with them.
Oh.
Yes, because I requested. It was like, no, your dad never wanted you to be here. But I'm the one who actually, made sure that you come here, So, I remember very vividly the statement was, so don't think your dad loves you, because I'm the one who made the decision that you must come here,
Hectic.
So, yeah, and someone was saying to me, you're such a hard worker. When do you stop? I said, I from the age of 11, I've been working, and that's all I know, Sometimes I wonder if I can identify outside me being, working for something, because that's what I had to do basically, So yeah, I stayed with them. It was another transition, because now I'm with my dad. I came here because I'm hungry for the love of my father. I want his approval, I think, in a way, not sure approval of what,
It's your father.
Yes, and I don't think people realize that it's another thing to desire for something that you never had, and to have it and realize that it's not
Actually,
yours.
yeah.
To have it and realize that.
So
no.
the experience was not what you thought it would be.
Not
Like,
at
how you
all.
want something so desperately and you finally get it. It's just like, you want that feeling that you sort of dreamt of it. It's just like, there's nothing here.
There's nothing here, And unfortunately, I think most people, we realize that a bit late, that when people say, be careful what you wish for, that's actually true, But in a nutshell, I also don't regret moving in with them. Yeah. I loved, they made me who I am, and I don't think if I didn't stay with them, I would be competent psychologically and emotionally the way I am, I don't think I would have composure in any sense, so I can hold myself in every situation.
And I guess you can accept any situation as well.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Imagine as a child, like the things that you notice, like, when you're sitting at home and you just consider it as a child. But I think what adults need to realize are kids are very much capable to sense, to feel, to see everything that happens, for the fact that you could see your father just becoming silent and accepting certain things, and that manly fatherhood that you expected to see was not there.
Yeah, so true. And but I always say, I think I also expected too much out of my dad. Because
In what sense?
we expect something out of people of which they don't have. And when they can't give it to us, and then we ask, why are you behaving like this?
We broke and we hurt. Yeah.
And this person is actually also wondering, why are you looking for me?
Yeah.
They're also wondering, why are you looking for me? So I think it was just that scenario that just played out, the unfortunate part of it that played out.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. When you look for your father for so long, there's a certain longingness, especially as a young girl, that you want this, this father figure, this hero, this warmth, that guy that will carry you, that, those conversations, that protective feeling that you get, and you just didn't get that.
No.
Not because of the environment, because now he's now obviously remarried, he's got other kids. It was just because he didn't have it in him. He didn't know how to father you.
I think when I look back, it had a lot of effects to it. It had environmental factors to it, because the environment was not allowing him to be that as well. I always say, sometimes I think my stepmother deliberately brought me into the house to cut the tie between me and my dad, because there was an assumption that Dineo was a loved child. Ne? And that assumption was wrong, because Dineo was loved by the grandmother, the mom to my father. But by my father, I cannot confirm that. To this date, I cannot confirm that. Yes, we've had our bit and fair share of relationship, try to reconcile and so on. And every time I try to reconcile with him, I realize that I'm beating at a dead horse, And unfortunately, now I'm at a stage where I'm a wife, I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I have seen how loving Lazarus can affect you. Today he's dead, tomorrow he's resuscitated, today he's dead. So I've seen that psychological effect. So I would not want my kids to go through it. I don't want them to have expectations of thinking that grandpa is coming. He comes today, and then tomorrow he's gone, and then they ask, and then he says, no, I'm going to come, and then he doesn't come. I've had so many moments of waiting for him to choose me. So many moments. And in all honesty, I think even as an adult married pastor, I think there is maybe still a bit of that longing inside, unspoken one, to say that, people maybe think choosing someone is taking them in. Choosing someone is the ability to recognize who they are in your life and position them where they're supposed to be. I think it's something that I've longed for, to just be positioned to say that you are my daughter and I love you, and, without a but. I don't want to be chosen with a but, because your mother did, because a but, no.
So is your father still with your stepmom?
No, they divorced. They divorced, I think, 2 years after I was kicked out of the house.
You were kicked out of the house?
Yeah, the interesting part is, I did my Matric when I was writing my final year, my Matric exam. I fell into depression. And I always say I unconsciously fell into depression because I wasn't even aware myself that I'm going through a depression, but I would just like, I would not be crying, but tears would just be coming out, until one of my teachers said, no, this is not right. Then I went to consult a GP. And then he said, no, you're actually depressed. We have to book you, And that was just 2 weeks before my final exam, And then they had to book me in. And then Dr. Kerimi, who was a practicing psychologist at Kimberley at that time, and then said, no, this is depression. Tell me your background. And the more we spoke, that's when I realized that everything that has been happening
is still there.
It's still there. It's lying somewhere within my subconscious mind. And now it came at a time I didn't want it to come. And it just opened a whole tin of worms for me.
So what happened with your exams? Did you have to wait?
I went and wrote my Matric. And then when I wrote, I'm not a big person on friends, even to this stage. I have a very small circle, So, so I had one friend, Resego, in high school, and the only child to the mother, So I went and wrote I was discharged on Friday. And then when I'm discharged on Friday, on Monday, I'm writing English paper 1. Then I'm writing, I can see, some small gossip. So I'm thinking, what, school kids will always be school kids. They think, she was hospitalized, whatever. And then after the exam, the principal calls me to say, Ish, unfortunately, yesterday night, Resego passed. I'm like, okay.
Your only friend?
Yeah, and she wasn't sick, To this day, I'm still not sure what happened, because the only thing I know is that she just stood up, vomited, and passed, So, yeah. But because God is God, after that paper, there was some gap in between, I think 3 days or something, because I was like, okay, no, I'm done. And that's when my mentor was like, oh, Dineo, just get back on it,
So it's as if you're not dealing with enough already.
Yeah.
Remember, you were not even fit to write this exam. They said next year. So you're pushing yourself you get there and they tell you your friend passed. I mean, that's a lot.
And, people who've had best friends, they will tell you this, that it really feels like your soul is needed to that person. Like, this was the one person I could talk to about issues at home, and she would get me. We would joke about it, she would make me feel like, okay, we would share food, and yes, So, and that was, I think that was one thing that was taken away from me that left me with a hole in my heart, to say, yeah, this was the one person that was. But after all, I had to move on and make sure that I go. And I remember when I went home, because I was crying hysterically, and my stepmom said, you can't cry like we killed your friend. You can't cry like that, like we killed your friend. So just, please. So I had to move on. I had to move on. And the interesting part of that story is that when I was breaking down, they interjected that I can't cry like that, And then years on, when my stepmom and my dad had divorced, my dad lost a friend who killed himself. And then he called me crying from a hospital bed, because I guess maybe he knew that
it's the pain.
I could relate to the pain, And shame, I wasn't even there. I was like, okay, no, we are here now. What do we do, And so, but yeah, that was the journey that was for me. And through the grace of God, I don't know how, but I did pass my matric. I did pass my matric. Every setback, there's always something that brings you back again in line. So I did pass my matric, and then passing my matric, I volunteered at the structure of youth crime prevention. And then later on, I got absorbed into it. So I think after 9 months, I got absorbed into it and then started working in the SAPS as an admin. Wow. And then that's when my stepmom said to my dad to say, you know what, I think it's time you choose. It's either me or Dineo, And I still remember that day so vividly that, it was, you see the sitting room, how it is, And then my dad just, he smokes. He just took out a cigarette and said, you hurt my wife.
You hurt my wife?
Yeah. And then he went out and I was like, okay, no, I hurt. And then that's life went on. I think what the best thing that happened in that home was it taught me to digest emotions quick. It taught me to digest emotions quick, So I was like, okay, no, I had. And then we didn't talk about it again. Then the next time they reverted, my stepmother was just checking, when am I moving out? And I always say, I still think with all my heart that my dad made the best choice by choosing my stepmother. I think he made the best choice. Let's just maybe put it into context biblically. When Sarah saw Hagar with Ishmael, and then went to Abraham and said, actually it was like choose. We are paraphrasing it. That was the best choice biblically when we look at it, And what did God say? God didn't say, no, Hagar can't go. What? It's in Hagar living that she realized that there is a God who sees me. There is Elroy, Wow. And in me living, that's when I realized that there is a God who's mindful of every step. Because as much as I was in Kimberley, because my dad was the only person I knew, but because at school I was always performing well, there's a woman from Department of Education who really drew so close to me. And for me, that was so foreign, like...
A stranger,
like, what is wrong with this woman? Like, why would she want to be so close to me? Is she into human trafficking or what? Because I wasn't used to being loved. I wasn't used to someone saying, no, she's mine. In the book, I also write about how living between different homes and just not having someone to claim you, to say, Dini, come here. You are mine.
This is my daughter.
This is my daughter.
Please open that door. My daughter is here.
This is daddy's girl. This is mommy's baby. I never had that moment, So when this woman came offering this, and we are not even blood related, it was foreign to me, and it was very scary, And she did not only open her heart, she opened her home to me, And when I got chased out, she's the one who took me in. I was like, no, don't
How
rent.
did that feel like, being chased? Because at this point, you've dealt with so much. You've dealt with loss from your mom. You've dealt with being separated with your paternal family. You've dealt with rejection. You've dealt with
depression,
loss, so many things. And just being kicked out. It's just like, what do you think? What's going on in your mind? What are you thinking? I mean, you're just a young girl.
No, I think the interesting part of it is that I thought of nothing. I had nothing to lose. In my mind, it's like I had already lost so much. So, I remember even the accusations of me being a witch. And the interesting part was when my stepmother took us to this Sangoma Batung Tatolelena Norgaloy. I was like, oh, okay, no, maybe maybe it's somewhere in there.
So wait, she took you to go and consult.
Yes.
And then the traditional healer said you are a witch.
It confirmed it.
Basically confirmed what she had been saying.
She had been saying. And I think, I remember
And this is to your face.
This is to my face.
Can't you say you're lying?
You are puzzled. You are puzzled. You're sitting there like, oh, okay, Galoy. And I think what was more interesting for me was the look on my father's face. The confusion was drawing deeper and deeper. Because it's like, okay, now I don't know. I guess even if he wanted to defend me, now he was like, oh my God, what am I going to say? Now I know what it is like.
That's emotional abuse because like
yeah,
it really is because this might just be like one consultation, something that happened, but the psychological damage that can happen internally.
Like she said, she also started to question herself, like, am I a witch?
Yeah, maybe it's
maybe
why are these people seeing that I don't even know?
So it was such an interesting thing to just go through. I always tell people, I say, I know what it is like to be given muti to wash with it because they are helping you. Apparently, you're causing this stress. And you're a child and you have to use, because now I was in their home. I have to bath with these things, because now, as much as they want a solution, I don't think they realize that I also wanted a solution. That if I'm a witch, help me.
Help me. You're going to feel better about me after doing this.
After
You're going to love me better.
Yes. Because I was looking for that validation. Yeah. And so on. So, I know what it is like to be given muti to wash with it, to be taken from consultations, to be accused of that. So, for me, it was just painful to see that it caused confusion to my dad, to my father. And you would think that if you love someone, you know someone, you can't have confusion.
Yeah.
You have to be solid in your thoughts about who they are and what they are capable of, I always say, I have one good friend. I always say to Koki, I say, if someone comes and say you're doing this or you said this, it would be quick for me to pick up to say, this is not your language.
Yes.
So I think that's why I was like, okay, we are all in this confusion and swimming along with it. We'll see where it ends,
How's the experience in that house for you?
I felt like they were pretending.
Because so unreal.
For the first time, I experienced quietness,
peace.
And I was like, where are we? Maybe in 3 months, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year. But I respect the manner in which they dealt with the issue. They never discredited my father. They never discredited my stepmother. Because, science says to every action there is a reaction, just that in opposite direction. So I tell my story not to shame anyone, but just as an awareness and to make someone who's going through it out there to just say that you can pull out of it. Unfortunately, when we go through life, you don't know that next time God might place you in a platform of where people want to say, where do you come from? And you telling, it's not shaming. It's just saying that these are the blueprints of God.
It's truth, It's part of the testimony.
Truth. Unfortunately, this is part of my testimony. I don't think people involved in my story realize how the amount of trauma we inflicted on my mom, who took me in, because she would be the one who would drive to say, please, Dineo needs you. And my dad would still say, no, she'll be okay. You know?
You really loved your dad, Shem.
I
Because
really did.
I think she saw it.
Yes.
I think she could see it. She could see that young girl who's longing for her father.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter how much love they gave you, how peaceful the house is.
Still wanted daddy.
You wanted your father.
I think that is really true. I really longed for that. But you know, one thing that I've realized as well, things you long for, God has a way of replacing them if they don't really pitch up to the standard expected. Because staying with them, not only did I get to find myself, I got to experience the most beautiful love ever of a father. You know, and you know, my mom took me in when I was a teenager. She risked her entire family because I can honestly not tell you what I was capable of or what I was not capable of. And they are quite a young couple. She brought me in. Imagine if my dad was a pedophile, you know, or was someone who was just, you know, what could have happened to that family. So every time I look at it as a wife, I look at it from that angle to say, this woman risked her kids, her sons, you know, she risked the husband, the marriage, you know. So I take my head off for her. And to all the women who do have that grace, it's a special grace.
Hands down, because wow.
You know, and I can guarantee you I am now my daddy's girl. I'm in a daddy's girl era now.
Really?
You know, I'm in my daddy's girl era now where my dad loves me to bits, you know.
You are that girl, thank God, because wow.
Because
I'm like, you are one of those, you need your dad.
No, my adoptive dad now, you know, I always say my adoptive dad just to make it simplify it.
So people can understand,
People can, like, you know, I would post a sample picture on my status. She will take it. Yo, we need to go back to the Manzinis. My girl, you are beautiful. Like she would, you know, and I always say, the day I stopped crying for my biological father is when he found me sitting in the sitting room, you know. And I realized that to them, because they were doing it so naturally, they don't have most of the memories that I have. And now I remember every step of it, you know. I remember when he found me sitting in the sitting room and crying and said that, girl, come here. You know, it was for the first time I experienced the hug of a father. Like a warm hug of a father. Wow. And I said, girl, you're going to be okay. Girl, you're going to be okay.
That is so emotional.
You know?
Sure.
So, yeah, you know, that hug for me, it meant it still, you know, resonates very deep in my heart.
And you got married?
2 years after staying with them, you know, I got married. I met my husband hardly for 5-10 minutes at the gym, you know. I met my husband. I was actually coming to Pretoria with work.
Yeah.
And then there's a friend of mine who was working for Sun, was like, when you're around, just give me a call, Mantini, and then we'll go out. And then, okay, fine, we go. And I was like, no, I'm starting at the gym because there was a comrade marathon.
Yeah.
I was like, Dini, let's go to the gym. I was like, hey, man, I don't like going to. It's like, no, let's go. Then we got there, I think 10 minutes before we left. Then it was like, just wait on the treadmill, I'm coming. And that's when I met my husband. Wow. And he said he was leaving the gym and something just said, no, go back. He went back, was like, okay, new face in the gym. I was like, yes. Like, okay, what's happened? And, you know, people would say the rest is history, but the rest was history.
Literally.
What?
Literally. And then 6 months down the line, he took out lobola of him without even remembering my face.
6 months?
You know?
What do you mean?
We just started talking, you know. And I was like, no, now I'm not looking for a girlfriend. You know, I'm a child of God, and I see a wife in you. But if you still want a boyfriend, you know, I'm more than happy to just wish you all the best. I was like, no, me too. I'm not taking He was like, no, me too, you know. And 14 years down the line, you know. Yeah, and I you know, my husband has been God sent because he married me when I still had the cracks in my voice.
Yo.
And he was still able to know how to hold me right. You know, he married a young girl whom he knew that was molested and suffered with the presence of men, but he knew how to create a safe space for me. He married me knowing that there is a little sister I want to go back for, you know, and after a year of us being married, my younger sister, you know, it's actually just coming as I'm talking. When I moved to my stepmom's place, I was 13 years. When we took my younger sister, she was actually 13 years. So I guess maybe that was the time,
connection,
you know, the connection. So when she was 13 years, my husband said, no, let's take her. When I met you, I knew that she's there, you know. And my younger sister was on chronic at the time. He protected her, you know, in a sense that he would say she's not going to sit on the clinic queue and take chronic medication because they are teenagers. They might tease her and do what it might create an unnecessary thing. He would come from night shift and go, you know, at the clinic and, you know, recline the seat, sleep there, wait for the queue and go fetch medication for Ndombi, you know. So, and we've always said she's our firstborn, you know. We've had our fair share of up and downs, you know, and I don't think people understand how draining it is to have a child with special needs.
Yes.
Because as they are discovering their journey, you are also
You're part of it.
discovering yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's exhausting looking for special schools, you know, and he did not get tired. He, you know, your Dominican school, like he's the one who would go to all this, you know, all the schools looking for a space to feel like she deserves a chance. This is our child. And he did give her that fair chance.
How old is she now?
Now she's 25. She's a
Oh,
big girl.
oh no, she's an
a big
adult now.
girl
Yes.
And a qualified beautician by the grace of God, you know. She's doing a last year as well. Look at God, you know. She got you know, we looked for a school around in Pretoria for her. And that's when I realized that there's such a scarce space for kids with special needs.
Yeah.
There isn't much of, you know, a ground that has been created for them to find themselves. So that's when someone actually said, no, there's a place called NID, National Institute for the Deaf, which is in Worcester. And God being God, we were so stranded and just looking for a place. And when I got the contact details of Worcester, only to realize that the CEO is actually someone who mentored me in Kimberley.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh, okay. I was like, no, she's my sister. I was like, are you sure? You know, I was like, yes, she's my blood sister. I was like, okay, you guys can come through. Let's see how best can we assist you, because the results as well were also good. So that's when she went to NID to do her beauty therapy course.
Beautiful.
And then when she finished, fortunately, Boland College wanted like a guinea pig program where they can see if kids with special can fully function within a normal school. And she was part of that were chosen to be. So
I'm so curious with your husband in terms of your children and him fathering, you know, coming from everything that you're coming from. Oh, surely you had expectations of how a father needs to be to the children.
Yeah.
I mean, was he a completely different father from what you expected or from what you experienced from your own biological father?
If I had a dad like my husband, I would be owning an empire. If I had a dad like my husband. My daughter does gymnastics. For the life of me, I don't know why she chose it. Because
She's a
I can't even sit through the whole gymnastic. Like, is she not gonna break herself? But my
painful to watch.
It's painful to watch. You know,
because you want to catch her, you don't tell your mom. Yeah.
I'm going through it. My husband has never missed anything. The clinic 6 weeks and whatever option.
The immunizations.
I think if my mothering skills had to be evaluated, I would be found lacking. because I'm not even sure when are they immunizing or whatever. He is on track of everything.
Sure.
He believes in the potential of our kids, and not only that, people who've been in the space of me and my husband, it's so rare to find a woman who God has called with a man who doesn't contend for that space with him.
Wow.
So rare,
Wow.
He's secure.
My husband is not worried. I think he's going to heaven. That one I'm not worried about. With me, I'm still working out my salvation, with fear and trembling. With him, the way he does things, with
He's a good man.
I'm really still working it out. But with him, he's a man of peace.
Sure.
He's a man of peace. The peace that kind of scares you to say, like,
Yeah.
can't you see what's happening, So if I had a dad like my husband, that would be running one of the biggest empires, because I would be confident.
Yeah.
Not only confident in myself,
Yeah.
confident in the love of my parents. I don't think parents understand that when your parents believe in you, it propels you to do more and more and more. It's so sad when everyone is cheering, but at home, no one regards
the ones you want to cheer you on are
not cheering you on. So, he's a different version of what I expected, He's at peace. He takes care of the kids, To be honest, most of the time I'm not at home. Yeah, but I've never had to come in and be asked so many things. There was a time last year I took a project that took me away from home for 6 months.
Sure. Wow.
And I came home to a sane family. So,
You are blessed.
I am highly blessed.
You are blessed.
I am highly blessed.
Tell us about your book.
Yes.
What a beautiful book.
Thank you
Beautiful
so much.
cover.
Marked but not broken was I took time wanting to pen it down, because your story involves people and fragile parts of people that need to be unmasked, because it is your story after all. So Marked but not broken, it's extremely raw in terms of people have a perception that pastors are so perfect, and it just makes you realize that we all come from a particular place. It talks about me being molested. It talks about me being rejected by my father. And it talks as well about the daddy issues that I had that ruined, relationship patterns in my life, the insecurity that came with it. It talks about, building even when it hurts, that you continue to build. And it talks about the multiple versions of me, that because now you grew up between different homes, you learn to act. You learn to perform, to say, if I'm going to this home, they're needing a cleaner, then I better learn to behave as one. If I'm going here, they need someone who can cook, then I better learn, if they go here, I need someone. So just that multiple personalities that I had to build in as a way of survival, because the subtitle says, My Story of Survival and Grace. But at the end of it all, it's a story of God, man, the grace of God. It's a story of how in the midst of this chaotic situation he was there, and that grace has a final say. Grace has a final say, I also don't know how I became to be what I am. I also don't know how I became to be confident with my voice. I was saying to my friend, I think when my dad had that, I wrote a book, my biological father, I said, I think he was very scared. He said, why? He said, because he's going to learn my voice as I learn my voice also.
Sure.
Because they are used to the quiet Dineo. But now that Dineo has come to a place where she says, someone must have been through this and feel that they are alone. So let me pen it down for them.
Look at God.
Everything
look
was
at God.
together, like you said.
What a beautiful story.
Wow. Pastor Dineo Manzini, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for being vulnerable. I think the Daddy's Girl part of it really was the theme of this episode. It's so cute being a Daddy's Girl. And it takes you those roller coasters where you love without condition.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
doesn't matter what your dad does or doesn't do. You love them, you hold on to them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you're a child and you hold on to the corner of the pens and you're like, is it my dad? It doesn't matter. Like, I
Yeah.
felt that, and I can relate so much. Trust
Yeah.
me, you know, for me, in my mind, I was like that daddy's girl, you know, as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
I just was like, can you just,
you're gonna be that
you know,
daddy's
no,
girl.
I was gonna be that. But our father's opportunity tololo. Yeah,
But my father missed an entire opportunity.
imagine. But I hope that you at
Yeah.
home enjoyed the episode, that you can relate, that you can find some beautiful lessons in the story. I love the forgiveness part of it and that unconditional love that you have. That will always sustain you. Don't become a bitter, angry adult, but look at the peace that surpasses all understanding that she has, because she knows she has the father to the fatherless that is always present throughout the situation, throughout life. Through it all, he gives you peace, even though it doesn't make sense to others. But love the fact that she also documented her story.
Yeah, and the therapy for me is everything. I think we grew up in the church, and you know, so such a common thing. Yes, you speak to the pastor or you speak to someone in church, but really getting the professional help for me is everything. I mean, in the way that she speaks, you know, you can sense the healing, you see the complete person. And I mean, I'm empowered just by listening to you. Your wisdom, really, for me, just like wow. Yeah, it's an honor for us to have had this conversation with you. Thank you for pouring your heart out, and I really hope you get the book.
Yes.
Because if it's written by someone this remarkable, definitely the book is remarkable too. Well, we have to say goodbye. We've come to the end. From myself, Innocent.
And myself, Millicent, and of course, Pastor Dineo. It's bye for now.
I've been through the most, been through the most.